I think we're at the dawn of a new era, and I think it's going to be very exciting. What we're hoping to do with SpaceX is to push the envelope and provide a reason for people to be excited and inspired to be human. I think it's important that humanity become a multi-planet species. I think most people would agree that a future where we're a spacefaring civilization is inspiring and exciting compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event. You know, that's really why I started SpaceX. I think history fundamentally bifurcates in one of two directions. Either we are a multi-planet species and out there exploring the stars, or we are a single-planet species waiting around for some eventual extinction event. And it's really that I personally find more motivating, which is going and setting up a base on Mars would just be the greatest adventure ever.
So when people were telling you this is insane, what did you say?
Well, I don't want to give the impression that I thought Tesla would be successful from the beginning. I actually thought we would fail.
You did? Really?
Oh, yeah. I thought we'd maybe have a, 10, 20% chance of success. I mean, startups in general fail, and auto startups especially fail.
Sure. They were basically saying, well, this proves it. You know, here's this cheeky bloke from Silicon Valley who thinks he can make a car. He's going to fail.
Right, sure.
How did you feel at that stage?
Well, I felt pretty miserable, honestly. It did honestly look like we were going to fail. Almost ran out of money. In fact, at the end of 2008, so I had to invest the last money that I had in the company.
You staked your fortune, didn't you?
Everything, yeah. I would have ended up owing money if Tesla's gone bankrupt. And we managed to close the financing round on the last hour of the last day that it was possible. So it was Christmas Eve, 2008, 6 p.m. I guess there's certainly been a lot of attacks. One thing I've noticed in recent months and years is that it's become obvious to a lot of the entrenched interests that Tesla and SpaceX are not going to die. Previously, they thought, well, they just basically ignored us or laughed at us. Now we're actually starting to make real inroads, and they're treating us as a real threat, and so it is quite daunting.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
Certainly hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone. And I would hope for as much support in that direction as we can receive.
I think certainly being focused on something that you're confident will have high value to someone else, and just being really rigorous in making that assessment, because people tend to, a natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So a challenge for entrepreneurs is to say, well, what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them versus pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit? And that is a really difficult thing to tell. Can you tell the difference between those two things?
Right.
You know? So you need to be sort of very rigorous in your self-analysis. I think certainly extremely tenacious, and then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. All those things improve the odds of success.
Okay.
Number one is have a high pain threshold. That's it.
There's a friend of mine who's got a good saying, which is that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Okay, that's generally what happens, because when you first start a company, there's lots of optimism and things are great, and then so happiness at first is high. Then you encounter all sorts of issues, and happiness will steadily decline, and then you'll go through a whole world of hurt. And then eventually, if you succeed, and in most cases you will not succeed, after a long time you will finally get back to happiness. But if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. A lot of times, an entrepreneur will come up with something which is only slightly better. And it can't just be slightly better, it's got to be a lot better. Number 3, I'd say, is constantly seek criticism. A well thought critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. And you should seek that from everyone you can, but particularly your friends. Usually your friends know what's wrong, but they don't want to tell you because they don't want to hurt you.
Lift you up so that you're in.
Yeah. So they'll say, oh, I wouldn't encourage my friend, so I'm not going to tell him what I think is wrong with this product.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your friends are right, but very often they are right. And you at least want to listen very carefully to what they say. And to everyone, if you're looking for, basically, you should take the approach that you're wrong. That you, the entrepreneur, are wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong. I think so. I mean, for reasons beyond the objective, oh, we'll get there faster, it's like you want to do projects that are inspiring and that make people excited about the future. Life's got to be about more than just solving problems. You want to get up in the morning and say, yes, I'm looking forward to that thing happening. And I guess that was my essential disappointment with the California so-called high-speed rail. It's like I was looking at that, wow, and it's like, well, they've got better things. They did better things in Japan 30 years ago. They've got something way better in China. Why are we doing this and spending so much money on it? And it's going to take 20 years, and by that time we'll be 50 years behind what they've got in Japan. I mean, now is the time to take risk. You don't have kids. As you get older, your obligations increase. So and once you have a family, you start taking risk not just for yourself, but for your family as well. It gets much harder to do things that might not work out. So now is the time to do that before you have those obligations. So I would encourage you to take risks now. Do something bold. You won't regret it. Crazy things can come true. Because he'd said, like, I didn't really think this would work. I think we can really do this a lot, and keep advancing the technology. I mean, for me, it's simply this is something that is important to get done, and we should just keep doing it, or die trying.
So quitting is not even like.
It's not in my nature.